Hello everybody, Perko here with this week's pontification. Now, as I record this, the whole world seems to be focused on Minnesota because there is a lot of confrontation going on there. So for that reason, I'm going to talk about something completely different. I'm going to talk about, did God create the earth? Now, there are two schools of theory. One is Darwin, who, for anyone who studied any of this, will know that he theorized from his research that organisms survived best in environments that were suited to their survival, and so anything that wasn't faded out, but those particular organisms did well. One area he didn't look at very tightly, though, was the origins of life, although he did come up with a bit of a theory around a warm pool with chemicals in it, with the right amount of electricity and light and power and so on. I'm a little bit skeptical of that, but anyway, that was his theory of the day, and he didn't say too much more than that for a simple reason. He didn't want to upset the scholastic people of the time because they were quite powerful in those days. The other people on the other side of the fence are the creationists. Now, the creationists say that the world was made in 6 days by God, and that everything just evolved from that. Adam and Eve was the beginning of humans, and they didn't go too deeply into a lot of other stuff. But there was the world flood and so on, and there's a lot of stories around that, but most of it is just stories. However, on my research, I found a few examples of things that gave a bit more credence to their point of view. And one is the complexity of life is so complex that there is no way it could have possibly evolved over time. A couple of things that they talk about. One is like a blade of grass. Now, if anyone has never thought about a blade of grass has the ability to literally extract moisture from the ground and pump it up through its leaf, and also to take energy from the sun and to actually create growth. And that seems pretty amazing how that could have just evolved. Then there's the human DNA, which is also extremely complex, and there is no explanation as how that evolved over time. And there's a couple of other things I found during my research that kind of give more credence towards the creationists. Two. One is large animal, the other is a small insect. But no, it's a big insect, really. You may or may never heard of the Bombardier Beetle. Now, the Bombardier Beetle is like a dung beetle, only it is got an amazing piece of armament on it. In its abdomen, at the back end, there are 3 chambers, 2 of which are holding 2 separate chemicals. That third chamber is empty, but when a Bombardier Beetle comes under threat, it actually sends those 2 chemicals into the central chamber, mixes them, and as they mix, the chemical reaction turns it into a hot acid which is burning like boiling water. Now, you have to wonder how on earth that slowly evolved over time. The other one is a giraffe. Now, everybody knows what a giraffe is. It's a lanky animal with a very long neck and a very funny looking head. Now, you've got to understand that because it's got a long neck and its brain is stuck on the top of its long neck, it needs a very strong heart to pump blood up to its brain. And then you've got to ask yourself, if it's got this massive heart pumping blood all the way up to its brain, how on earth does it actually get down and drink water when it gets its head below its feet? How is it the blood pressure doesn't blow its brains out? I'll tell you. Because it has some shut-off valves in its neck so that when it wants to drink, its brain tells those valves to close, so that it can then bend its legs down and it can bend its neck down and drink water. How did that evolve? A couple of other points you might like to know about. Back to my notes again. The Earth evolved about 4.5 billion years ago. Water arrived about 500 million years after that, and plant life in water arrived about 100 million years after that, and plant life on the planet actually arrived just 1 billion years ago. Interesting, huh? Anyway, that'll do for today. Talk to you another time. Ta-da!